Hi,
Right,
Josh.
we're live. How's it going, Lee?
Yeah, I'm good. Very good. Thank you. How are you?
Amazing. Thank you for doing this.
No problem. Thank you. So, for everyone watching, this is the Kin Ads EMA. What we're going to do is just quickly introduce ourselves and then we'll get to the questions. So, Josh, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I work for General Assembly in Toronto. GA is a global digital skills company. We have 40 campuses around the world, and we work with half the top 100 companies in the world, or at least in North America, on different digital skills in coding, design, data, and marketing, as well as product management. So we really look through technology and education, sorry, from the lens of technologists and everyone who teaches at GA in the boot camp model style of education is from industry. So they work for Shopify and Disney Digital and many large companies. So I love looking at new innovations, and our UX grads, they learn kind of all the latest tools. And that's why I think Kin is so perfect, because it fits within kind of, different kind of models coming out in user experience design. And
Yeah.
Lee, want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Lee. I've been around in the Kin community for a couple of years now, just helping out where I can. I've met some great people along the way. I recently joined the Kin Council to help develop the community, which I'm really excited to be a part of. I'm from the UK, so I do have quite a broad accent, so I am trying to tone the accent down for this.
You're good,
Um,
mate.
but yeah, so let's get started.
Let's do
Um,
it.
the questions were submitted on the Kin Foundation Reddit sub by community members. And question one is from Santos 1986. What exchange is trustworthy enough to buy Kin from in order to keep the Kin ads mechanism going, and which one will be bought from?
Great question. So the market making partner that we are working with, they are buying across, I think, two or three of the current Kin integrated exchanges. From a personal standpoint, and I'll make a disclaimer, it's not investment advice, it's not the opinion of the rest of the Kin Ads team, nor General Assembly or my employer. But personally, I don't think we have the right liquidity pools in place. I'd love to see, as the project matures, both as a project, but also in the eyes of the law, is that we are able to get into other liquidity pools. I think that's really important. And, when you see that kick in, it will really create this amazing feedback loop in the Kin ecosystem, and I think really launch the project. On a more personal note as well, I actually really like the idea that, Kin isn't on massive exchanges. We've seen some projects that got pumped or had huge run-ups, they're dead now. So in the
Yeah,
space, I think it's great to be thankful that the team is working hard, that Kin is doing something special, and don't worry about the exchanges that it's on. So
yeah, that's a good point. So the next question is from Nellis31. How can I integrate Kin ads in an app?
great question. So if you currently are not integrated with what's called a mediation partner, which could be ironSource, MoPub, or AdMob. AdMob's owned by Google, MoPub's owned by Twitter. You can implement an SDK from one of these mediation partners and start serving what are called programmatic ads. And the programmatic ad ecosystem is just a fancy word for saying automated media buying. And so essentially what the advertising ecosystem is you have publishers or apps that have attention or users and are selling that attention. And on the other side, you have advertisers. And in the middle, you have ad exchanges. And that's what these mediation networks are. So, it's kind of two options. One is you go out and integrate one you may already be monetizing through display advertising, and we can tap into that.
Brilliant. The next, we actually have 6 questions here from Neon Game Studios, who is the developer of Grandpa Bill's Dog Rescue game. Question 1. Today, it looks like ads views are purchased with cash and the end user ends up with Kin in return. Do you see a future where Kin can be used to purchase views? And if so, would Kin ads offer a discount for doing so?
This is a great question. This is why I'm excited for this project, is because a lot of developers hold Kin, and Kin Ads does create a new utility. What we saw with the monthly active tourist module was, hey, a big app can share, its user base with small apps, and we think that's really powerful still. So we think, as well as we build this network out, developers amongst themselves in the ad network will want to trade media and attention to share user bases in much the same way. And the mechanism for the developers is using Kin as that kind of settlement currency. Because they're on one ad network, the same ad network, we don't have to go through, any sort of fiat, buying ads through Google or whatnot. It's because they're in the same ad network, we can just kind of turn on ad placements between the Kin apps. So it's in the short term, we haven't set it up, but yes, it is feasible and it's on the roadmap for sure.
That's awesome. So question 2, what are the benefits to using a new service like Kin Ads versus the existing heavyweights of the space like Chartboost, Unity Ads, etc.?
Yeah, there's not really a benefit per se, one or the other. A lot of apps out there have multiple mediation or monetization, routes. And we think Kin Ads is great for the Kin ecosystem and the apps in the Kin ecosystem because it allows them to add liquidity to the market, and creating buy demand increases the value of the holdings that they have. So that's the value right off the hop, is that you're acquiring more Kin, but you're also increasing the value of the Kin you already hold. And we think that's really exciting. There's a couple other things. Because you're part of an ad network, from an advertiser standpoint, that's actually really valuable, and it allows us to negotiate with these ad exchanges a higher CPM. So, if you took a display ad that you're getting paid fiat versus a display ad you're getting the Kin equivalent, it actually is probably going to be more beneficial because you'll get a higher payout from the Kin app or the Kin Ads implementation. So it'll net out probably a higher rate, as well as you'll qualify for the KRE buy track because you're creating that fiat buy demand. So there is some incentives once you back it out. Now, that economic model, we haven't collected enough data to truly prove out what exactly the benefit is from like a percentage standpoint, but we're going to get there in that model.
Yeah, I mean, it's something to look forward to, that, isn't it?
For sure.
Question 2A. Will users of Kin Ads receive analytics showing views, clicks, click-through rate, installs, etc.?
Yeah, so a lot of those metrics are definitely advertising or advertiser facing. So they will have their own dashboard through their demand side platforms on the agency side. For the apps themselves, absolutely. So they will get a similar dashboard that they can plug into. Right now it's hosted on ironSource, and in ironSource you can see the revenue you've generated, how many daily active users you have, how many users engaged with an ad, how many users clicked or did an action. So there's a number of metrics there that can be broken out by country. The Kin Ads team itself, we're building our own dashboard that's more of a reporting piece that looks into the revenue generated so that apps have full transparency around the revenue that they're generating, but also the Kin that they're going to get paid out. So that transparency piece is really important to us. And yeah, so we'll be able to show a lot of metrics to the apps, for them to kind of make better optimization decisions. And I'll actually talk a bit about the data that we're collecting. So when you see engagement data on an ad, it allows you to do a couple things in how you optimize it. So you can optimize it from the standpoint of getting a higher eCPM and higher revenue, but it also infers what making better Kin ad or Kin experiences. And here's a great example. So if you have a advertising experience and you're collecting Kin from that and you're paying that Kin out to your users, it allows you to, to increase the engagement on that. If you create a little bit of pain in your in-app experience, so let's say, you listen to 10 songs in Monkeying Me, at the end of 10 songs, you have to watch an ad. So it creates a bit of a pain point there. And you get 10 bananas to watch your next 10 songs. And the great thing about the Kin ad unit is we can see what that engagement is on day one. And then we can say, okay, if you create that pain, but then also create a spend opportunity. So the user knows that I have to watch this ad to collect my Kin, but then to go spend it to watch 10 more songs. Or Monkey Me's created a multiplier where they say, if you watch the ad, you can watch 10 new songs or get your bananas, but then you can add a 2x multiplier if you watch another Kin ad. And so the user knows that, hey, if I finish these ad units, I get paid out these things to do, or get paid out this Kin and this bananas to do things I want in the app. And that creates a really strong incentive for the user to complete that view and even go on and download an app. So not only does that get higher CPMs, higher revenue, it also creates a better experience in the apps. And we're really excited about that insight. And we're starting to work with the apps and finding new ways and new spends in their apps to create really good experiences for the consumer so that consumers go and watch these ads.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that. Question 3. Is there any advantage for devs to switch from our existing solution to yours?
Yeah, so kind of along the lines I already talked about is that there's not really a clear defined reason to switch. And we want to work with developers that once they have the mediation implemented or they go out and implement the SDK, they can choose where they want the revenue to be directed. So if they want to just kind of do it on their own, no problem. But also if they want to do it through Kin ads, we can integrate there really easy and just redirect the revenue to the ad network. So it's really easy to turn on and off. And we think that's really good for integration and getting lots of apps to take that up.
Yeah, brilliant. Question 4. It looks like the Kin ads model aggregates various existing ad networks and shows their ads. Is there a plan to create your own independent ad network?
Yeah, so creating an ad network is a big technology lift. You're basically creating a stock market or a marketplace. And there's large companies that already do this. And we don't really think there's value being created there if Google's already conquered that market. So our idea is let's integrate with the existing infrastructure that already exists, and then just redirect the revenue rather than Google, all this money flowing into Google. We're going to redirect that to the Kin ecosystem and drive up, ideally create demand for the price or for Kin itself, which will make Kin more valuable. Simple supply and demand metrics there. So, tapping into the existing ecosystem, I think is really important. The other thing, the reason we're not getting too heavy into ad tech infrastructure is because we really want to focus on servicing the apps. So using the expertise inside Monkey Me, who has a great team. They've been doing this for a long time. They've had bananas integrated in Monkey Me for a while, and they have mastered the ability of how can you maximize revenue from advertising using a token-based model? And for them, it's bananas as well as now Kin. So that team's in place, and our whole goal is to just service the developer community.
Perfect. Question 4 here. This is the last one from Neon Game Studios. This subreddit should know that ads are expensive. From my own experience, I've learned that video advertising in North America averages approximately $2.50 an install. Has there ever been a point where the ad providers are unable to serve ads? We really hope that is common, because if you had your own ad network, we would love to step in as a small scale provider of last resort and offer below market rates for advertising.
Great question. So how these networks work is they're like a stock market. The advertiser sets a bid at what they are willing to pay, and the publishers set a bid at what they're willing to take in revenue. So there's constantly the matching of buyers and sellers. And so if you're an advertiser bidding too low, typically you get lower quality inventory. And if you're a buyer that's bidding too high, or as a publisher, you're wanting too much money, you're going to get zero fill rate or very low fill rate. So your revenue is going to decline. So naturally, the market kind of finds out what that balance is. For kin apps, you know, I kind of alluded to it earlier. If you're in the kin ecosystem and you're an app integrated and you hold lots of kin, you know, there is an opportunity for other apps to say, look, like, I want to share my user base and I will accept kin as payment. So you don't have to go out and have a ton of US dollars or revenue that you are applying to acquire users. So being a part of the kin ecosystem might be a great way for an app starting out on day one to acquire new users. And it could be through this way. I also had a conversation with someone that reached out to us that I think is interesting is, what if you're a kin holder? Let's say you purchase kin in the token distribution event, or you've acquired it on exchanges, specifically as it's come down in price. I think there's a lot of value there. If you hold a lot of kin and you want to support apps, there might be also a way that you could, you know, use your kin to sponsor apps that you love to go out and help them increase their user bases. We know that building an app is difficult, and for a lot of people, it's something they do as a side project. So to make it viable, and as a large holder of kin myself, I think it would be really cool for me to support apps that I love to use. So there's another use case that you know, could be worth exploring. But I think overall, you're right. In North America, CPMs and cost per installs are very expensive, and that's because consumers in North America and Europe specifically are considered high value consumers. They have you know, typically higher GDP per capita. These are consumers that are spenders. They spend a lot of money per person compared to other parts of the world. And that's just how the market values advertising, is those consumers are quote unquote more valuable. That doesn't mean that CPMs aren't higher in other parts of the world. They are definitely, but the market figures that out.
Yeah, I think the idea for donating to support project is brilliant. I've actually seen a few people in the community offering to do this. So I think there will be people who are actually willing to do that. So I agree with that. So that was the last one from Neon Game Studios.
Thank you, Neon Game Studios. Great questions.
Yeah. The next one is Polyp01. Hello, Josh. On their own, smaller apps would have to wait months to build up the minimum withdrawal threshold required by many ad mediation platforms. What is the concrete impact for smaller apps? Which threshold? Does it mean that kin ads is suitable only for mid to big sized apps?
So great question. The kin ad network is actually great for small apps. And here's the reason. If you're to go with AdMob or ironSource, you have to have a $100 threshold before you can even withdraw those funds to a bank account. And so for a very small app with a few thousand monthly active users, that could take you almost 6 months to do. It's, you know, it's not like you're making tons of money all the time. And so for small user bases, if you pool your money with the larger apps in the kin ads ad network and you join the ad network, now all of a sudden your revenue is pooled with everyone else, and you get paid out in real time on day one. So you know, this is great for small apps, and that's because we're all working together as an ad network. So not only are you getting payouts earlier, you're also qualifying potentially for higher CPMs. And you know, I kind of talked about why that is earlier. As part of an ad network, when you have a diverse audience and you have a lot of users that you represent from a advertising perspective, now you can negotiate higher rates from advertisers, because you know, you're a one-stop shop place to come and get certain types of consumers. If the tokenized advertising model ends up being way better, and there's definitely a lot of case studies to support this. I know my wife, for instance, she had a app, and to get certain functionality in the app, she had to have gems. And to go get those gems, she had to watch ads, but also she had to go download other apps. Well, after downloading 6 other apps to get all those gems, she finally unlocked the feature in the first app she wanted. So we know tokenized advertising models can be very powerful. Now we're going to see that at a huge scale with display advertising using Kin, and we think that will draw in a lot of developers, both small and large.
Brilliant. Question from Jack 1234325. Will Kin Ads be working with any big apps?
Absolutely. We are really excited that the ad network will gain a lot of attention. And if you go to kinads.org, we've really positioned the ad network not to the crypto community, but to the advertising and developer community. We want them to know what a token-based ad experience can look like, both for the consumer, but also for advertisers. And we want developers to know that, hey, there's something really exciting happening here. And that this can be a very viable thing to implement and at the very least test out. We think that's going to attract a lot of developers. What's really exciting about small developers in the ad network, but also Kin ecosystem, is large apps. So if you look at, let's say, Spotify, artists on Spotify like Taylor Swift that accrue a ton of listens, Drake, same thing, and you add those listens up, they are actually smaller than the long tail of artists when you add up all those listens in that long tail. So it's the artists that get 100,000, 50,000, 1,000 listens a month. All those in aggregate are actually larger than Taylor Swift. And so becomes a really great opportunity that if we can get a bunch of small apps as well, we will have a very large ecosystem that it's not just the big apps that are winning, but it's the aggregate smaller apps too that represent actually a larger portion. I will talk about the partners that we do have integrated, but also are integrated now. The current Kin ecosystem apps of Rave, Kick, Mad Lips, P365, these are not small apps. These are really large user bases. And it would take an app years to get to that size. You either have an amazing app idea that catches lightning in a bottle and goes viral and becomes a big sensation overnight, or it takes a long time for these things to scale up. So yeah, there's definitely the benefit of having large apps join, and we're really excited to service those customers. But also the small apps, I think in aggregate, will add a lot of value to the ecosystem because they have a diverse set of consumers, diverse set of geographies, but also offerings that they have.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, they all add up, don't they? So, and also good job on the website, by the way. It's really nice.
Thank you.
Really good website.
Kinads.org. Follow us on LinkedIn. This is another thing. We didn't create a Twitter account to go after crypto Twitter. One day Twitter will be cool. But we've focused on LinkedIn and Medium because we think those are really great areas to build legitimacy and definitely the agency world and a lot of people are on LinkedIn. So follow us on LinkedIn.
Sounds good. Question from Hot Dog Lambo. Will there be a plugin for Unity?
Yes. So two things on this. If you're a Unity built app, we support that. The ad network within inside of Unity, we don't have an integration with yet. So, I love Unity. I think they're one of, if not the best places to build an application. And it will be awesome to start working with them when the time comes. One thing I'll say is there's a lot of ad tech partners that have built really cool monetization experiences. So Unity is one. There's a bunch of paywalls where if you download an app, you get gems. There's Keep that does, it's kind of like a paywall, but instead of getting gems, you get trials to certain, maybe it's a free product or to trial a free service. So we think that's a really cool monetization model. There's tons of monetization models. You could be selling your data. There's companies like Factual that they drop an SDK inside of Tinder actually, and they track user location to put you into certain segments. So for instance, if you walk inside a Walmart, you're considered a Walmart shopper. That's how you build audiences. So there's a bunch of ways to monetize. So we want to support those eventually. And we think one day it would be really cool to see Kin on some of these paywalls to be accepted. And we think that will be a very special day.
definitely. We've got another question here from Nellis31. Will Kin ads only work for apps, or will it work for websites as well?
Great question. So apps are plugged into these programmatic ecosystems as well. The exact same exchanges do have the ability to serve on a desktop, right? And that is typically going to be a web browser. So an advertiser can already choose that environment, and a publisher already implements display advertising. So the short answer is that yes, it is definitely something that we've talked about already, actually. And it is possible. From a technology standpoint of how that exactly works, I'm not sure at the moment. I don't know many websites that have Kin itself integrated, but there definitely will be an opportunity for websites to potentially send their ad flow or revenue to the ad network and then get paid out in Kin. So we definitely think that is something really interesting.
Okay. And question from Well, how long does it take to receive your Kin after watching an ad? Do you buy a tiny bit of Kin every time someone watches an ad, or do you buy a load at once?
So great question. We have a float of Kin as part of the grant from the Kin ecosystem. We want to make sure we can operate the network properly on day one. The Kin that gets paid out to the consumer within the app, that's up to the developer. So the developer can set up what that relationship looks like. We're not telling the developer, hey, you have to pay out 1,000 Kin. The developer can choose whatever they want to pay out. And the consumer can decide based on the experiences in that app, aka the spends in that app. If it costs $1,000 to get in a group chat, well, most likely you want your Kin payout to be 500, 600, 700 Kin, because you want to be able to give that consumer the chance to get in. So the economics at the app level will be figured out by the developer, and that'll be paid out to the consumer in seconds because the Kin blockchain is really quick. And I actually have a note on this. The callback to the developer of when that ad is triggered in app, that's basically instant. So we're recording that in real time. And the Kin payments to the developers, I believe will happen on a monthly schedule right now. We're still working out kind of the mechanics of how the purchases are happening on the open exchanges. The ad network is collecting revenue already and has been for some time, but right now our team is mostly focused on onboarding apps and helping them optimize their waterfalls and the revenue that they're generating.
Brilliant. That was actually the last question from the community, but I do actually have a couple of questions to add, if that's okay.
Yep.
So I was interested to know how you, Mikhail, and Luke actually met and how Kin ads came together, and what actually excites you most about Kin ads for the future.
Great question. So I've been thinking about tokenized ad experiences for a year now, and I was thinking about starting an agency. And around that time, I started engaging last year with Amir from AdLips on just what an advertising model could look like with Kin and how we could generate media value with Kin and then sell that media value to an advertiser. So you could generate a lot of media value with, let's say, 10 million Kin. If you incentivize a user for 100 Kin to watch an ad, you can generate a lot of attention with 10 million Kin. At the same time, to get that 10 million Kin is trivial. It doesn't cost a lot, but yet that attention, 10 million or even 1 million views is actually worth a fair amount of money in fiat. So this has that kind of arbitrage between the price of Kin and the value you can generate from an attention and media and an action standpoint, whether it be a download, whether it be doing something in an app, whether it be engaging with a brand, that's very valuable. So there's going to be some arbitrage that happens there. And that got me really excited. And so I've been talking with the Kin team for a while on this, but it really took PureBet that proved out this model. And shout out PureBet, Patrice, and Simon. They did a great job at saying, of actually doing it. They created an ad unit, they paid the users in Kin, and they were collecting revenue. And so they generated the roadmap, or they created the roadmap for this to be possible. And From my conversation with Amir, the Kin apps were talking about this as well, and Mikkel was getting involved. And then Mikkel was referred to myself, and Luke was really interested in joining, and the team came together really quickly. And so as a team, we've been only at it for about a couple months fully, and we're really excited. The infrastructure is all in place, and I will give a lot of credit to the team right now. Mikkel is an amazing business leader and has been able to bring this entire opportunity together, this project together. Luke is an incredible developer. He built the back-end infrastructure and really made it functionable and is constantly adding new features. Chase Barker is a guy who gets it done. He has great relationships with all the apps, and he's a really good developer, and we love working with Chase. So the four of us have really brought this to life, and I love working with them. Your next question was about the future. Yeah, I mean, we all believe that the Kin network is going to be a great opportunity. I think we will look back at, look at the early investors in Facebook. There you have a really simple network effect of creating connections between people, and that became something that was very, very valuable. I think that's going to be amplified in some of these token or blockchain-based networks themselves as users come in and great experiences are being created, and users and consumers are willing to pay for those experiences. Advertisers are willing to pay for that attention. That creates upward pressure on the price of Kin by basic supply and demand functions. You have more buy demand for a fixed supply of assets, the price is going to go up. And we think this is going to be even greater than what the accrual and value was in Facebook stock, for instance, because the token itself, it has a lot of functionality. So we're really excited. And I think that will kick off a flywheel, no different than Ethereum and Bitcoin's networks took off. And the reason is because the price of Bitcoin went up. People started paying attention, people started learning, people started mining and contributing code and contributing projects and things to the ecosystem. So I think we're going to see the same thing here. And we're seeing Shopify, Facebook, all of these companies are involved in digital assets and currencies. And to me, it's more of a maturity of the laws and regulations. Once that happens, this is going to be very exciting. And so I see a lot of potential upside, and the net benefits to this ecosystem, it's going to be consumers, it's going to be apps and developers who are in the ecosystem. It's not going to be centralized companies. And I think that's really going to change the entire world. I'm very excited.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. Yeah, you do clearly have a great team.
Yeah.
And, I wish you all the best of luck, and I think you'll be successful.
Yeah.
I'll be watching and following along.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Lee. There's some things I want to say real quick around transparency that I didn't get a chance to address.
Yeah, of course.
All the code that for everything that we're building will be up on GitHub, so you will be able to see it publicly. Transparency is really important to us. Another part of this ad network that we're building in is when the buying happens, so we get paid out the fiat to our market making partner, there's going to be a algorithm that decides when the Kin is actually purchased, and the team is not going to know that. We're going to look at, let's say, a 7-day window, and we're going to say, okay, you have to make the purchase in that 7-day window at a random moment. So we're not going to know. We think that's really important that the team has audible code, but also that the actual financial purchasing of the Kin tokens themselves or of the currency is done at a random time. So we're really excited. Lee, do you want to say about where this interview is located in the magazine? Tell us a bit about the magazine real quick.
Yes, so I've been working on a new publication for the community, Cup of Kin, which is a new digital magazine, and it's by the Kin Council. And it's tailored towards the community. It's going to be a monthly release, and it's just basically a roundup of everything that's going on in the community. And the idea is to just kind of bring everyone together and keep everyone up to date. And I'm excited to continue working on it and see how it evolves.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for your time and joining into this AMA. There'll be many more of these, and hopefully we can get Mikkel and the rest of the KinAds team on, as well as hopefully one day some of the publishers or the Kin apps, as well as any advertising partners, agencies that we talk to. It'd be great to bring them into this as well. So really excited. Keep an eye out and check out Cup of Kin, the magazine, for exclusive content.
Thank you, Josh. Thanks for doing this.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.